Gather round everyone and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he's hoax. They'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the maggot base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. So patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated, Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk comes to left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason, unmasking hypocrisy. The truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talking to the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan, coming to you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We will open up the phone lines in a little bit if you want to call in and debate me, either, or just discuss things with me. It'll be 562-LIB-DAN1. That's 562-542-3261. We'll get to that in a few minutes, I think. Ooh, little voice crack there. Excuse me. So you can leave your comments in the chat, either on Twitch or over on YouTube, and you can support the show as well. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel, share the live stream to say, invite other people come along and say, hey, let's talk politics with Liberal Dan. Or you can support the show other ways by commenting, sharing previous videos that I had posted. You can Venmo Liberal Dan on Venmo, buy me a cider, go to liberaldan.com, click the buy me a cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Either way will get you there. You can become a Liberal Dan patron, patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Either way gets you there as well. And of course, there's other things to do. There's if you haven't bought John Fugelsang's book, there's a link to it in the episode description on YouTube. So if you click on that link, it will bring you to the Amazon, and not only will you get a good book, it will support the show as well. You can also, if you follow on Twitch or if you subscribe, become either a new subscriber, or if you gift a subscription on Twitch, you can get 3 free months of Duolingo. So if you want to learn Spanish for the Bad Bunny halftime show, you can go ahead and do that. All you gotta do is gift somebody a subscription. I think you could probably also just use your Amazon Prime for yourself if you haven't subscribed over there yet. But it'll give you 3 months of Duolingo. So if you want 3 months of Duolingo, there you go. Another way to benefit yourself as well. Over on Twitch, we do have Aaron and Orvilby. Thank you both for joining us over there. On YouTube, got Rosanna, Steve from across the pond.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
Got Aaron as well. Rosanna, CR, Molly, Jeff from just north of Uranus. Who else have I missed? Suzanne. Did I say Suzanne? I don't know if I hadn't. There you go. If I said it again, it's twice. Roxanne. Scott. Good to see everybody. Thank y'all for joining the show. Hopefully a few more will straggle in a little bit as we go along. But we'll go ahead and get the show started right now. I did see an interesting thing that came across my timeline. I think it might have been on YouTube, but it might have been linked to on some Facebook page or whatever. But it's definitely really
a judge in the Reese versus.
Let me go ahead and just rewind this real quick because I think it's definitely something that conservatives might want to see, if anything else. Let's see. So we've got this video here. Judge in the case of Reese versus ATF, and this is from Gun Owners of America. So take that with what you will. I get some strange things going on in my feed sometimes, but here we go.
This ATF case, a lawsuit brought by the Second Amendment Foundation. A judge in the Reese versus ATF case, a lawsuit brought by the Second Amendment Foundation and the Firearms Policy Coalition, has ordered those organizations to turn over their members list to effectively enforce a judgment. This comes at the request of the Department of Justice, who convinced the judge to issue this order. Their reasoning? Well, according to a filing from DOJ, they say, in sum, defendants' proposed judgment appropriately limits its scope to members of the organizational plaintiffs who have been identified and verified to defendants during this litigation. Any injunction that does not include this limitation would be impermissibly vague. Sounds like the ATF has learned from the previous times that we at GOA enjoined their rulemaking efforts. The pistol brace rule and the engage in the business rule were all enjoined by us. As a result, Gunners of America members currently enjoy protections against those infringements. But we didn't have to give up a verified list of our members to do so, and neither should FPC and SAF. Of course, the government's motivation for wanting this information are sinister. There's nothing that the ATF would want more than another backdoor registry of gun owners, this time through a list of members that support gun rights organizations like SAF and FPC. Not even the Biden DOJ ever attempted something this inexcusable. The Department of Justice must immediately rescind this demand. But here's where you come in. Call the White House at 202-456-1414 and demand that President Trump order the Department of Justice to work with GOA, SAF, and FPC to restore gun rights and to restore the Second Amendment.
And there we go. That is very interesting. Just simply the fact that you have the Gun Owners of America not only being critical of the Trump administration for this request, but they even went so far as to say that not even the Biden administration went so far as to ask for this list. Now, again, I don't know the absolute specifics of this case, and I'm not going to be digging that deeply into it. It doesn't affect me. I'm not a member of these two gun organizations, clearly. So it is kind of weird that they would want just a group of people's, information. And I support the idea of background checks and, making sure that it's, everybody who purchases a gun is legally capable of doing so. And I have no problem with having a paper trail of sales for gun sales so that we can know who owned the gun last prior to being potentially used in a crime. So I'm not necessarily against record keeping to make sure that we know that the people who are owning the guns can own the guns legally. That being said, I immediately had to go forward this to one of the conservative show hosts that I know, Jeff Carrere, Ringside Politics, and I was like, were you aware of this? And he was like, nope, it's very disturbing indeed. So there's a conservative whose first words upon watching that video was that it's very disturbing that the Trump administration's Department of Justice is trying to get a list of people who are members of these organizations who are all gun owners. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Do y'all think it's reasonable for them to do that? Do you think this is another attempt at Donald Trump to go back on campaign promises? I mean, it's probably true. And it's going to, as we discuss things in the show later, we will be going over why this administration is not trustworthy at all and why I don't trust it in various ways. So if I was these people, I would not trust him to do appropriate things with this data. However, they should have never been trusting him to begin with, because he is an untrustworthy individual. And a lot of these people who backed him are realizing, and they're in the find out phase right now. And sucks to suck for y'all, I guess, because you're not going to sit here and you know, you're going to sit here and lament, oh, why is Trump doing this? We try to tell you. We try to tell each and every one of you that this person was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and wasn't even in sheep's clothing. I don't know if there's orange sheep out there, but he was basically presenting himself to y'all as something that we knew he wasn't. But y'all insisted that you knew better, so you closed your eyes and stuck your fingers in your ears and went la 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 la, not listening, because you didn't want to hear the fact that, you know, he's coming after your guns. In fact, in the song that I have, take the guns first, lose those rights forever, that's literally from Had Biden Done It, that is literally something that he said previously, I believe first term, that you should take the guns first. So we knew that he was going to come after y'all and your guns. And there's going to be some Trump supporters be like, well, it's not for me. He won't come after my guns. He'll just go after other people's guns. Well, sorry if you think that, but it's the same way that the persons who voted for him who are of Latino, Hispanic descent or whatever, that's the same thing those people thought. Well, when they deport people, they're not going to deport us. They're just going to deport the people who are here illegally. And then, of course, we go into this term and we start seeing him deporting people like, you know, Filipinos from the cruise ship terminal in Norfolk, Virginia, PhD student with a green card out of San Francisco, detained him at the San Francisco airport for at least 3 days, detained an Iranian woman here in New Orleans, all people who were here legally, with permission to be here, with permission to work here, with permission to just otherwise stay here on this soil. And these people, oh, well, whatever Biden, you think Biden did on the border has nothing to do with the woman in Lakeview in New Orleans who is from Iran, from the person who's a PhD student, who was, detained in San Francisco's airport, from the 30-plus cruise ship workers from the Philippines who were not just detained but deported and banned from this country. That has nothing to do with what you think Joe Biden did or didn't do as president on the border. So, no, Donald Trump is not a trustworthy individual. He is not somebody who we can, believe at all. So, y'all are finally learning, conservatives. Y'all are finally starting to figure out, at least some of you are, that the person who he said he was isn't the person who he said he was. Simple as that. So, what's up, Kevin? Good to see you. MJ Daniel, read the book, The Monster Always Turns on Its Creator. Pretty much. But how would you say, would it be Frankenstein or... I don't want to hear Trump going, Putin on the Ritz. If Trump would say Putin on the Ritz, he'd probably think he was talking about Vladimir Putin. And he'd probably want Putin at the Ritz Hotel and not, Putin on the Ritz as it is. Let's see. Michael McDaniels, the sun will probably come up back tomorrow, I think, maybe. That's a very optimistic way of putting things, eh? Anyway. But yeah. So there's that, and I was very interesting to not get any fight back from Jeff too. It was like, this is very disturbing. I'm like, yes, it is, but we tried to warn y'all, and y'all don't want to listen. How many other things are they going to have to find out before they realize, oh, we were right? Excuse me as I take a sip of water. Lesson 2: don't create a monster. Exactly. But yeah, so let's see. What do we want to talk about today? I don't know. Just trying to see what potential tickets were available. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. That is just insane. I guess I missed that pre-sale as well. Oh, well. Sucks to be me. Wow, that's ridiculous. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. Just wanted to check something real quick I was going to be going to Dallas sometime next year because I was going to want to get tickets to the Rush concert that was, announced recently, and the tickets are just way too expensive for me to be able to justify. So even the fact that this is probably my last time to ever see him, I'm not going to be able to afford it because life is too difficult at this point to be able to afford that sort of stuff. Anyway, MJ Dana, that would be Tom Homan. He looks like a bit like a monster in young Frankenstein. Funny. I mean, maybe his little things on his thing, on little neck things or whatever. See, Hawk had the full video where the 404 media did the story on what? Did I miss something from Big Hook? I'm on top chat, not all chat. That's probably why. I may have a pet sitting gig in Dallas next year. Nice. So you get to go to Dallas just to watch pets. That's awesome. Let's see. That was a lie. They started the investigation about 2 weeks later when the abusive partner, as revenge, tried to collect the Texas abortion bounty. Further investigation revealed the cops line. Hold on. So Texas was using those license plate readers to track a woman who left the state to get an abortion. The cops, when they realized the bad press coming in, backstory saying they were concerned. It was a lie. They started the investigation almost 2 weeks later. Wow. That's nuts. I mean, I don't put it past them. I thought the Texas bounty law was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But then again, the conservatives in this country, the MAGA folks, the Abbotts, the DeSantises, and of course Donald Trump, don't feel like they need to follow the laws because they feel like they can just do things whatever, and then they're just going to challenge the courts to force their hand. But even then, when they challenge the courts, or when the court rules against Trump, like they did when they said 9-0 that you have to give people due process if they are being detained, you have to allow them the ability to file a writ of habeas corpus. You have to give them reasonable time to do so, and they've since ignored that ruling. So again, we've had a tradition in this country for hundreds of years now that we follow the Supreme Court, that when the Supreme Court makes a ruling, that it is the law of the land, that it overturns a law, you can no longer do those actions, etc. Or it enforces or basically affirms the Constitution. Now, sometimes they get it wrong, clearly, like, Plessy versus Ferguson. But that being said, they'll still correct it sometimes, of course. They also got it wrong with when they overturned Roe v. Wade with that horrible ruling from Alito as well. But still, this administration doesn't give a crap because when the Supreme Court tells them to do something, they're like, oh, sorry. And then, of course, Stephen Miller said the quiet part out loud, saying that he has the plenary power. And then he just froze like a deer in headlights, like, oops, I can't believe that I said the words plenary power in front of all these people. I'm just going to freeze up and pretend I have an audio-visual issue. Oh, Jesus, Big Hook says the investigating officer has a spousal abuse record. Of course he does. I mean, the odds of you being assaulted by your spouse, by your husband, increases dramatically if that husband happens to be a cop. And that's just fact. So, I mean, there are people who want to back the blue, but, they don't back the people who would complain about me saying that you're more likely to get beat by your husband if your husband's a cop are the people who are cheering on the administration for pardoning people who assaulted cops. So, hey, Bethany, good to see you. Got your glasses fixed. That's good. Yes, Big Hook, there's definitely saying the quiet part out loud. But anyway, so we have, Aaron goes, I sing to people's pets. Nice. What do you sing? What type of, does it depend on the type of dog, what genre of music you sing, or do you sing specific songs for all the pets? Inform us. Inquiring minds want to know. So, hey, Jolie, good to see you. Forgot to get canned cat food when I went to the store. My cat refused to accept it. Had to run out and get some. Cats are assholes. I mean, I have 3 cats. I love my cats, but they're all assholes. And that's one of the many reasons why they are assholes. But still, as old Trumpy says,
it is what it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Donald. Kevin, still waiting until 3 Dog Night comes out with their new CD. Nice. Mama told me not to come. Sorry. Was it 3 Dog Night that also did Joy to the World? And where I was at a bar I was at a bat mitzvah party for somebody who got bat mitzvahed as an adult, converted to Judaism later in life, and then celebrated her becoming responsible for the commandments, i.e. bat mitzvah. And we were trying to, the people at the karaoke place were trying to put up Three Dog Night's Joy to the World. And instead we started getting joy to the world, our Lord has come. And I'm just like, we're just a bunch of Jewish people sitting around. We're not going to be singing joy to the world. So instead of singing, we couldn't find a Three Dog Night version. So instead of singing Joy to the World by Three Dog Night, they sang a Springtime for Hitler from the Producers, which is even more hilarious to have a room full of Jews sing, "The Rhineland's a fine land again. We're marching on a faster pace." Anyway, so yeah, that was quite amusing. Of course, the person, my friend of mine who got bat mitzvahed, her mom is the only person that I've ever heard who doesn't appreciate my imitation of Louis Armstrong. Had problems with it. I don't know, whatever. So it happens. Can't please everybody.
It is what it is.
Yes, thank you, Donald. So let's see. Let's see if we can. We want to talk about the Palestinian thing yet. I guess that we can. I guess, we'll open the phone lines in a few minutes. Not quite yet. Just want to give them a chance to make a couple of points before anything. And yes, we're talking about, the releasing of the hostages today, not just the Israeli hostages, the 20 folks, but the over 2,000 people that were released by Israel, the Palestinians, to go back into Gaza, and everybody's like, oh, this is great, this is great. I mean, if you have Bill Clinton, like, the horrors of this October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel and the conflict they reignited have resulted in unbearable human loss. I'm grateful that the ceasefire has taken hold and that the last 20 living hostages have been freed. Yada, yada, yada. Aid has begun to flow into Gaza. President Trump's administration, Qatar, and other regional actors deserve great credit for keeping everyone engaged until the agreement was reached. Now Israel, Hamas, with the support of the United States, the region, and the world, must try and turn this fragile moment into lasting peace, which provides for the dignity and security of both Palestinians and Israelis. I believe that they can get there, but only if they do it together. Of course, he's trying to be a statesperson. Of course, if something happened great during, Biden's term, Donald Trump would have been like, it's great that President Biden was great to be able to accomplish this. We support that action, blah, blah, blah. No, Donald Trump would have probably stood in the way, and I wouldn't be surprised. And this is one of the many reasons why I don't trust this deal. Even though at the beginning it seems like, some people are getting what they want. People are seeing their family again. And I'm not going to begrudge them and their joy. Good for them for getting that. But I don't have any reason to believe that this administration is trustworthy in any stretch of the imagination. Like, I don't trust Netanyahu and his administration. I don't trust Trump and his administration. I don't trust Hamas and their, quote, leadership either. So, yeah, we did get something good accomplished in the whole thing, but I hate to be a curmudgeon, but sometimes I'm a curmudgeon. And, I guess I'll say the last part first in reality. If Donald Trump didn't act so disreputable, if Donald Trump didn't act so untrustworthy, if Donald Trump didn't behave in a way that made me just distrust every single thing he says or does, then maybe I might be willing to give him all of the credit in the world for getting this accomplished. But this getting accomplished includes various things, like, for example, it was heavily in the rulers of Qatar, the government of Qatar was very instrumental in getting this done. Well, the people in Qatar also, again, agreed to, with Saudi interest, to let the Trump organization build a luxury resort golf course in Qatar. So Donald Trump and his family are profiting off of this because that didn't start taking hold until he became president. Of course, you have the Qatar Air Force One that needs to have over $1 billion of refurbishments done on it before it could be flown as, our Air Force One. And even then, do we trust that they didn't slide something nefarious in there to be able to spy on our president? And of course, now they are building a Air Force a facility for their own Air Force on a U.S. base in Idaho. Now, people will say, "Oh, but there are other governments that have that do joint training operations on our soil as well." You have Singapore, who stay at the housing or whatever that's there and do joint training missions with them. Sure, that's fine. I don't believe that Singapore has established their own facility. I don't think they've built their own facility. I think Singapore has, is staying in the facility that was already there and are training with the aircraft that's already there. I don't believe that the Singapore airmen or airwomen or air people or whatever you want to say, I don't believe that those people have, their own aircraft. I think they're using ours. Now, of course, F-15, I'm sure if you train on one, you can train on the other, you're good. But according to the media that I've read, the Qatari Air Force are bringing their own fighters here. And I'm unaware of any military of any foreign government that has their own hardware here on our soil, their own aircraft. Now, it could be, if I'm wrong, you're free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I tried to look this up a bunch. I've not been able to find any example of anybody saying that the Singaporean airmen, airwomen who are training here, that they're using their own fighters instead of ours. The Royal Air Force for Britain has had a longer presence here, I believe. I have not heard that they're using their own aircraft. I believe they're using ours as well. Now, granted, they buy from us, and so, you might say, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is, our aircraft and our training and our software and our equipment versus theirs. We can tell them what to do, what they can or cannot do with our aircraft. I don't know how well we'd be able to tell them what they can or cannot do with their aircraft. So again, as I called him, if you saw on my, I think on my Facebook page, I also posted this on TikTok. On TikTok, I posted the image of Donald Trump in front of them Saudis, some people dressed up in like Arab gear or whatever, and they are basically building their Air Force base right there with Donald Trump, and he's Qatar hero. If you want to see that, that's on Facebook. I could probably bring it up right now. Let me bring it up real quick just to see. But again, there's the whole very close relationship. After Donald Trump said, was it in 2015 and 2016, that Qatar has been a great source of terrorism, that the terrorists are, terrorist funding has come from Qatar. So he's come a long way from that to he's come a long way from that to, I'm gonna build a resort there, I'm going to accept an airplane from them, and I'm gonna let them build an air base, an air facility, as they're saying, on our soil. So there it is. There's the image that I created, Donald Trump as Qatar hero. So there you go. Anyway, so, but again, there's also many reasons why I wouldn't, why I don't trust this government, why I don't trust Netanyahu, why I don't trust various other people in the conflict, Middle Eastern nations, why I don't trust Hamas in and of itself. Like, there's so many reasons to look at this. And so if you go to Al Jazeera's website, there's 5 key takeaways from Trump's Gaza remarks in the Middle East. Now, I was going to do perhaps a live reaction to Donald Trump's speech that he gave in front of the Knesset, but it was over an hour, and I really have no desire to go over his over an hour speech because there's probably a lot of meandering that we don't need to worry about. Maybe if I went through it and cut it up a little bit, but I didn't have time for that today. So maybe we'll do that for Wednesday. I don't know, probably not. It's just such a long video to be able to react to, and I'm sure it's either a lot of it is repetition or what. So Donald Trump says there'll be a new Middle East, an age of the end of terror and death, and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. Of course, today also Donald Trump, I think he said that he's not somebody who's going to go to heaven, that he'll probably go to the other place. So even he agrees with us that he's not a godly person, even though the religious right will say, oh, he's wonderful, he's great. Was it a discussion I was having with somebody on some conservative page, and the person was talking about Bad Bunny, and he was like, he's a sinner. Bad Bunny's queer because I guess he dressed up in, you know, clothes that they don't like, and he's a sinner. I'm like, all right, dude. Did you vote for Donald Trump with him admitting that he had affairs, committed adultery, that he you know, admitted to grabbing people by the hoo-ha without their consent? Well, people are only responsible for their own sins. Well, if people are only responsible for their own sins, then why are you worried about other people's sins? Well, I don't want it in my house. Well, did you ever play Elton John or Queen or anybody else come on the TV that, you know, you didn't like, or are you just picking and choosing this? Oh, I've never had that on my house. I'm like, I don't believe you. BS. Oh, it's Impeccable Living is in the chat. Good to see you, Impeccable Living.
Oh my.
Anyway, so... Excuse me, I'm really thirsty today. I don't know why. Anyway, so there's so much authority. So another reason to not trust Donald Trump is some of his words today. He called for a pardon of Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump sang the praises today of Benjamin Netanyahu and tried to boost the Israeli prime minister who's facing corruption charges domestically, while Trump has previously called for dropping the legal case against Netanyahu. On Monday, he called for Itzhak Herzog publicly to pardon the prime minister, downplaying the allegations against him, which include receiving lavish gifts as bribes. I have an idea, Mr. President. Why don't you just give him a pardon? Trump said as Parliament erupted in cheers. Cigars and champagne, who the hell cares about it? Well, I mean, clearly Donald Trump doesn't care about it, but Donald Trump doesn't care about corruption because he himself is corrupt. So therefore, and he surrounds himself with corrupt people. So therefore, he's not going to care about, you know, getting, you know, illegal gifts, illegal emoluments, so to speak. He wouldn't care about that because he gets them himself, and he wants to be able to say, oh, well, somebody should pardon me too, I guess, or he'll pardon himself, I suppose. I don't know. So he's not easy. The U.S. president said of Prime Minister Netanyahu, I want to tell you he's not the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great. Yeah, okay. He needlessly bombed recklessly more of Gaza than he needed to in the claims that he was going after Hamas. Another reason why I don't trust him, because Netanyahu didn't try to limit the casualties as much as possible to the folks in Hamas, and he instead cluster bomb, carpet bomb, whatever. All these, you know, weapons of mass destruction that were used when they had the smart technology, as they've proven when they did the strike on Hezbollah's beepers, and they just, you know, had these little explosions going off in everyone's pocket, and it only targeted those people. And then they also, when they actually did attack Qatar and did a surgical strike against the room where some Hamas folks were staying, and they got just the room. They didn't take down the whole building. They just got the room. So if you can just get the room there, why can't you do the same thing in Gaza? Simple. He didn't want to do the same thing in Gaza because he didn't give a shit about the Palestinians. Because not only does it help him to take out as many Palestinian people as possible, because he's a horrible person and he's using this to try and detract from his criminal charges that are against him, but it also helps Hamas, because by allowing him to be viewed as the big bad bully, Hamas can be like, well, you still need us to protect you from the big evil Israeli government, so therefore you're going to need us to be in charge as well. So again, another reason why I don't trust Donald Trump, why I don't trust Netanyahu, so I don't have I'm not going to hold my breath that this deal will continue and will not fall through at some point. And of course, if it does fall through, Donald Trump's going to put the blame on somebody else and not on himself, even if he just kind of wipes his hands of this point. But another reason why I don't trust Donald Trump, and another reason why I don't believe that, you know, his goals here are, you know, pure. It almost hurts to say that that there was even possibility that it could be pure, is the fact that what Trump said before is that he wanted to ethnically cleanse the entirety of Gaza. He wanted to move all of the Palestinians out of Gaza and then rebuild it as some sort of Riviera on the Mediterranean. That's ethnic cleansing. That is not something that a good person does. It's not somebody that's somebody who wants peace for the Palestinian people. It's not what they do. And of course, Netanyahu also said that he wanted to remove all of the people from Gaza, all of the Palestinians from Gaza, and move them to South Sudan. Again, ethnic cleansing. That's not something that good people do. So why would I take anything with this deal on face value? To me, there's always going to be something underneath that benefits Donald Trump. Every time. And we can look at and see all the Qatar stuff. Maybe that's just the stuff. Maybe it's just that, or maybe it's more. And why would we believe? I mean, and you might say, well, is there an offset to be made? I was like, do we care if Donald Trump got 20 hostages returned to the Israelis, got 2,000 hostages or prisoners returned to the Palestinian people, so families reunited? Are those families really going to care whether or not Donald Trump profited in any way off this whole thing? Whether or not he will profit in any way off this? They probably don't. And I'm not going to begrudge them for being happy and joyous that their family members are alive and are home. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue to keep a sharp eye, but we can't trust the media to keep a sharp eye because the media is too afraid of losing access, so they're gonna just continue to kiss his ass and say, oh, he did a good job, he did this, he did that. I couldn't find this quote. Somebody on MSNBC today said something about how instead of pushing more of Hamas to be removed, he was basically saying that he was okay with Hamas dealing with Palestinians who might openly rebel. There was reports that there were Palestinian people who were in fact skirmishing with Hamas fighters today. And if that's the case, we should be supporting them. Right? We should be supporting those people to try and, get their independence from the terrorist group that is Hamas. But, as Trump says,
it is what it is.
And he doesn't care because they don't care about the Palestinian people, not one bit. And all of their actions previously have proven that's the case. Let's see. Despite lauding Netanyahu, Trump recognized the global opinion was turning against Israel because of the atrocities in Gaza. The world is big and strong, and ultimately the world wins. Several of Israel's Western allies recognized Palestinian state in the past months, partly in response to the horrors that Israel was unleashing on Gaza. What took you so long? Why shouldn't you have recognized the Palestinian state before? I mean, the world recognized the Palestinian state in 1948. Why didn't we continue to do so, despite the fact that Jordan took over the West Bank and Egypt took over Gaza? Right? But we just dropped the ball on that one, hindsight being 2020 and all. U.S. President said he congratulated Netanyahu for taking the victory instead of continuing the war indefinitely. And if you would have gone on for 3-4 years fighting, it was getting bad, it was getting heated. It was getting bad, it was getting heated. Getting bad? No, Trump, it was already bad, and it was needlessly and unnecessarily bad. The timing of this is brilliant, and I said, Bibi, you're going to be remembered for this far more than you kept this thing going, kill, kill, kill. What? What even the hell does that mean? Trump suggested that Israel's issues are now over. The world is loving Israel again. You think that's the case? I mean, that's just maybe another example of the fact that Donald Trump is absolutely losing his marbles. And somebody who is that insane also is not somebody who can be trusted, because they're just that mentally incompetent, that crazy. They don't know what the hell is going on. If he really thinks that the world is loving Israel again magically after today, then he is an idiot. But we already know he's an idiot because he's an idiot. And we've shown many examples as to why he's an idiot. But he's lost his full-on mental faculties as well, because as we saw over the weekend, Donald Trump said that it was the Biden FBI that put 240-something agents on the ground to I guess, stir things up on January 6, 2021. And as we all know, because we're all intelligent people here listening to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right, we all know who the president was on January 6th of 2021. Wasn't Biden. Biden wasn't in charge. Biden didn't take control until 2 weeks afterwards. It was Trump. Trump's FBI, with the person who Trump appointed to run the FBI, was in charge of the FBI. So if he wants to blame the FBI, it's his own FBI that he's blaming. Passing message to the Palestinians. In his comments throughout Monday, Trump took a proverbial victory lap, focusing on what he said would be a bright future for Israel and the broader region, but he had a brief message to the Palestinians in his Knesset speech. President called on Palestinians in Gaza to focus on stability, safety, dignity, and economic development. There was no acknowledgement of Israeli atrocities or the decades of displacement, dispossession, and occupation that the International Court of Justice says amounts to apartheid. The choice for the Palestinians could not be more clear. This is their chance to turn forever from the path of terror and violence. It's been extreme to the exile and wicked forces of hate that are in their midst. Of course, this blames all of the Palestinian people for the actions of Hamas, which, again, is anti-Palestinian. It's bigoted because you're blaming, again, just like we had the call the last time where they were trying to say that, you know, Jews do this and Jews do that. You're blaming the entirety of Judaism for some Jews that you don't like. You should not be blaming the entirety of the Palestinian people for the fact that Hamas acts in a way that's terrible. But again, that's how bigots think. Bigots want to blame the whole for the part. He reasserted the claim that Palestinians' grievances with Israel are driven by hate rather than by the material conditions Israel has imposed on them. I mean, well, Donald Trump's, again, an idiot, and that's why he thinks that. At no point did he recognize Palestinians' right to their own state. And, of course, Donald Trump believes things to be true that aren't true. Like, that Portland's on fire. He believes that Portland's on fire. Because he watched some old video that was from 2020 of something on fire in Portland as evidence that Portland is now on fire. So unless that fire has lasted for 5 years, no, Portland's not on fire. But he's going to use that as a justification to turn the troops against his own people, which is another reason why I don't trust Donald Trump and this deal, because I don't trust that if he's going to do that to us, to the people of, he's threatened to do it to New Orleans, people of Chicago, people of Portland, etc., etc., etc. If he's going to continue to do that, then guess what? What else would he do to people who are not American citizens, right? He sends mixed signals to Iran. Trump once again asserted that U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities obliterated the country's nuclear program. He also gave Israel a pat on the back for killing Iran's top military leaders. Trump also suggested that if Israel and the U.S. had not attacked Iran, the Gaza deal would not have come together. I don't know how he squares that circle. He said taking out the Iranian nuclear program paves the way for more Arab states to establish former diplomatic ties with Israel. We don't have a Gaza and we don't have an Iran as an excuse. That was a good excuse, but we don't have it anymore, blah, blah, blah. I think Iran will come along. Israel attacked Iran in June, days before Iranian and U.S. negotiators were set to meet. I'd love to take the sanctions off when they're ready to talk. They can't really survive these sanctions. Those sanctions they're very tough. They're so tough. No one has tougher sanctions. So, yeah, that's the Al Jazeera story.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So, but yeah, why would anybody believe Donald Trump has, the purest of intentions here when it comes to Gaza, when it comes to Palestinian people, when he was so lopsided on the praise that he heaped on Israel that didn't deserve that praise, while heaping not enough praise on the Palestinian people who were dealing with this bullshit for years. So again, one of many reasons why we don't trust Donald Trump, we don't trust the Netanyahu administration, we don't trust Hamas, we don't trust any of them. So I guess to quote Ronald Reagan would say, trust but verify. I say I don't trust, but we're still going to verify whether or not any of the sides are going to keep up with this deal, and if it will continue to move forward or if it will stall out, because, at the end of the day, Donald Trump never does anything that's not in his own best interest. He is Mr. Quid Pro Quo. He is Mr. I'm not going to do anything unless I get something in return. He is a transactional person. I was going to say a transactional leader, but he's not even a leader. He is transactional by nature. He is not going to do anything that's altruistic, that's only going to benefit other people, that doesn't benefit him. So another reason why I will not trust the outcome of this deal until it's all said and done. And look, if at the end of the day it can be shown that he didn't benefit in it in any way, and that everything that was done was purely altruistic, I'll give him the credit that he deserves. But if it's proven that it's not all altruistic, that he is making money off of this deal, that the Palestinian people are getting the shit end of the stick, so to speak, I'll give him that, whatever he deserves as well too. It's not necessarily praise is what I would call it, but I would give him that as well, because And of course, we all know where I'm leaning as to where I think it's going to end up. But if I'm wrong, and it turns out that he was altruistic, that he's not profiting off of this, and this is all done for the betterment of all of the people in the area, then I'll admit I was wrong. I just don't think that I'm going to have to, because it's Donald Trump, and we've followed Donald Trump for long enough to know who Donald Trump is. And we should not be distracted from that just because we were able to find some good and return the people home to where they needed to be. Anyway, so that was that. I recorded that just so I can upload it after the show. But we will go ahead and... do I not have that on this? I guess not. Hold on. I guess we can throw it up here. Image, add existing, call in. Oh, that's big. Let's see. There we go. Let's shrink it down a bit. There we go. 562 libdan1, 562 libdan1, 562 542 3261. If you do want to call on the show, now you can do it because it's no longer blocked. Let's head on back through the chat whilst we wait for that. I didn't miss too much apparently. Let's see. I think Marie, good to see you, Marie. Janelle, I don't think I said Janelle. Dawn, good to see you too. And remember, just to show reset, Liberal Dan Radio. It's TV2 Live, good to see you. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Mondays, Wednesdays, and maybe one other day sometime soon when we figure out what day it's going to be. Live here, 8 p.m. Central, on liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com. Either way gets you there. Remember to like the stream, share, like, comment on other videos that already exist. Spread the word, especially the songs. If you like the songs that we play, do the songs. You know, share them out. You know, if you think that they're clever, they're funny, they're good, what better way to share just a small thing, and maybe someone else will get an earworm as well and be able to, you know, be like, where can I hear that? Liberal Dan Radio, talk from life, that's right. You can Venmo, Liberal Dan and Venmo, buy me a cider, go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio or go to liberaldan.com, click the buy me a cider button. You can also become Liberal Dan Radio patron, patreon.com/liberaldan. If you're on Twitch, if you want to subscribe over on Twitch for a first-time subscription or with a new gift to somebody else, you can get 3 months of Duolingo for free. Just go ahead and, you can just do that over there. There's the store, Liberal Dan Radio store. It's http store.liberaldanradio.com. Don't put the S in there. It's going to F it up. There may be a new URL for that shortly, but I'll just update that forwarding address if we do get a new URL for that. And there should be new shirts coming soon. I'm waiting on them to make their decision on what they're going to do with the site before I actually start pushing that shirt as well. So let's see. I don't know if I said hello to CR, but if I didn't, hello CR. Thank you, Jolie, for sharing the link. I can now pin that. I keep getting confused because I switched the buttons on my OBS. So the OBS chat used to be the Twitch one, and now it's the YouTube one. And I can only see the Twitch one over here now because I was trying to deal with the technical issues from last show. So anyway, what else is going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So did y'all like the Guitar Hero image that I made while we're waiting for anybody to call in? I was waiting for other people to use Guitar Hero next and thinking that, oh, someone's going to rip me off. So I better put it out there. My best quality, Impeccable Living says, after my ass is unwavering allegiance to himself.
Oh, my.
Anyway, had to do there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of Impeccable Living and to the ass for which it stands. One nation under booty. I don't know if I would say it's indivisible, right? Impeccable Living. with liberty and gay stuff for all. Sorry. And if you don't know, me and Impeccable Living are always back and forth like this. So, anyway, there's a ha 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 from him. Anyway, so anyway, if you do want, again, you want to call in 562-LIBDAN1, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Suzanne is eating a piece of cake. What type of cake? What type of cake are you noshing on? Because there are some cakes that I like and some cakes that I don't. Of course, I refer to my wife as Cakes as well. That's my nickname for her. So there you go. I always like cake. So Jeff, same here. I'm probably the best looking person I know. I definitely know I'm not the best looking person I know because I know my wife and she's much hotter than I am. So there you go. Anyway. Guess I should wait for that to pop up on the screen before I start talking about it because it might look like I'm like being psychic or whatever, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. What else did I miss anything else? I did that. It almost sounded like Rush's Tom Sawyer. Now, if anybody wants to buy me Rush tickets, you know, I'd be more than happy to accept a gift of Rush tickets at any one of the, I guess, the Friday or the Sunday shows. I'm not trying to go to the Wednesday show because then I wouldn't be able to do my show. But you know, as again Donald Trump says, I'm having them clicking this a lot this time.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So. My mother always said, never sell your underwear for less than $50. How long ago did she say that? Because that would be impressive if, like, you know, back in, like, the 80s or 90s that she was able to sell her underwear for more than $50. I mean, I don't know what the going rate for underwear is these days, but I would think that back in the day that $50 would be a rather good price for underwear. I mean, I guess it would depend on whose underwear it is. I mean, if somebody, like, you know, some no-name person versus a celebrity underwear. I don't know. I'm not all that knowledgeable about the world of the worldwide panty trade, so to speak. Can't believe we're talking about this. How did it get there? Impeccable Living. How did we get to talking about selling of somebody's mother's underwear?
Oh my.
Anyway, sorry. She told me that in the early 2000s. I mean, after the Y2K, I mean, maybe things might get tough, and maybe, you know, you might be tempted to sell it for like the low price of $29.99. But I guess you got to stick to your guns and no less than $50. So you did not ruin the show. Although that would be something that would probably be more likely to be discussed on Liberal Dan Radio After Dark. We're still putting in my head how I want to deal with that. So maybe by the end of the year, we'll get an episode of that up on another channel. Just because I don't want to ruin this channel's monetization talking about, like, you know, adult things in an uncensored way. Dawn, I drove to Chicago for Tom Petty, not for Rush. I mean, are they going to Chicago? I don't know. It's very limited places where they're going, and when they added dates, they added more city stops at the cities that they're already going to be in, I guess, to make it less of a grueling of a tour, but still, I'm just annoyed that I won't be able to attend this concert because the tickets are going to be far too expensive, and now even more expensive because there's nothing left from the fan pre-sale. I completely missed that today. So I had a Citibank pre-sale that I could have taken part in, but those tickets, like the cheapest tickets I could find, were like $400, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to spend $800 to go to a concert when I am having a hard enough time just affording the mortgages on my house and my mother-in-law's house. So, you know, it happens. Let's see. Nobody's calling in. I did see Big Hook. Maybe he's working. So we can talk about maybe some other stuff today. Apparently, was it George Stephanopoulos? Let's look that up because that was great. Plus interview with JD and JD Vance. Let's see. Vance Stephanopoulos bicker over the Homan question, which is hilarious. Maybe I just need to go on YouTube to find it because it's not going to They don't have a video. George Stephanopoulos, J.D. Vance. I don't want a shorter version. I don't want... I think this is...
Joining us this
We're
morning.
gonna
Let's
turn
start
off
with the Middle
the,
East. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Hamas has
Call
confirmed
in
they are
for a
holding
second.
20 living hostages and that those hostages are going to be released in the next 24 hours, early as today perhaps. Have 20 living tape in September.
From hard hats to steel-toed boots, Granger's got your safety needs covered. Literally. Vast inventory of safety products.
2024, an FBI surveillance tape accepting $50,000 in cash. Did he keep that money?
Accepting $50,000 for doing what, George? I'm not even sure I understand the question. Is it illegal to take a payment for doing services? The FBI has not prosecuted him. I've never seen any evidence that he's engaged in criminal wrongdoing. Nobody has accused Tom of violating a crime, even the far left media like yourself. So
Nobody has accused him. I mean, I think there are plenty of people who have accused that he did a crime, including the FBI, but not this FBI.
Actually not sure what the precise question is. Did he accept $50,000? Honestly, George, I don't know the answer to that question. What I do know is that he didn't violate a crime.
He didn't violate a crime. What does that mean? Did he violate the law? Did he violate a crime? I don't understand what didn't violate a crime means, but of course, J.D. Vance is also the one who said that Trump was America's Hitler and then backtracked on that. So
you don't, what was caught on the tape, you're saying right now you don't know whether or not he kept that money?
I don't know what tape you're referring to, George. I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why
it's on video.
Fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story
About whether or not the person who's, in charge of, partially at least in charge of deporting people and has a high role in this government, we're trying to determine whether or not he actually took $50,000, that there's record of him being given $50,000.
That I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government.
No, it's because the Republicans, who absolutely control all three branches of government, are choosing to not, lead, because that's something they don't know how to do.
Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You were focused on
Maybe you should have made it a deal so that the troops didn't have to worry about being paid. If you need the Democrats that much, make a deal.
a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of...
Well, done nothing wrong is a stretch there. If he took 50 grand as a bribe, then he would have done something wrong. And there's evidence that he was given 50 grand. We want to know if he still has that, or if he received it or not, if he kept it or not.
Focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would be...
The real issues, because corruption in the administration that you're serving in is not a real issue, right?
benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning. And we're joined now by Vice President J.D. Vance. Mr. Vice President.
Yeah, so I think George Stephanopoulos handled that pretty darn well, and yeah, I think that more of this needs to come out, and I'm actually frankly shocked that George Stephanopoulos did actually handle that as he should have handled that. But I did open up the phone lines back up as it was, whatever. So hold on, there we go. I'm gonna do that one. Let's see. We all want a piece of you, big hook of your mind, of course. Of course. Some people might want other pieces, I suppose, but yeah, Impeccable Living says Vance is a little heavy on the eyeliner. So yeah, he is. Enjoy Deep Space Nine, Suzanne. It's always a good show to watch. Excellent show. I can't believe I'm done my water already. Holy crap. I don't know if it was just the fact that my dinner was extra salty or what. I don't know, but it was just leftovers from yesterday, and yesterday's leftovers were not this salty, so I don't know. I did make it was a gluten-free panade chicken thigh with lemon, garlic, butter, Parmesan cream sauce, and served over gluten-free pasta, and you would never know that that dish was gluten-free. It was really good. It was, in fact, so good that my picky eater Thomas, my older son, my picky eater, actually tried the cream sauce and liked it. And I was like, holy crap, he actually tried something new and he liked it? What? I couldn't believe it. So it says not available. It should be available. The phone should be available. You should be able to call in. Give it another shot. Because it says receiving calls now. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Give it another shot, Big Hook. Let's see. There we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, I had shut it off a brief smidge while I was playing the George Stephanopoulos bit, but I turned it back on.
Yeah,
so
no worries. No worries. It's not a big deal.
Hakuna Matata.
So, I don't know. You guys are in free fall, it seems. You know, things are... The Trump and Israel thing seems like a huge distraction. I wonder how long he can continue to hold off release of the Epstein files.
Right.
It's getting pretty obvious that he doesn't want them released, and you know, I mean, Mike Johnson is he'll keep the government shut down forever if it works in Trump's favor.
Well, yeah, he's going to keep it shut down, and he's going to use as an excuse that he can't swear anybody in until the government is no longer shut down, even though they have had pro forma sessions where they have sworn in people before. So that is a lie from Speaker Johnson. And of course, not just, you know, the fact that you have the Epstein files, but of course they also want to distract from the fact that the government shut down. And if they keep the government shut down long enough, the courts then have to shut down, and if the courts are shut down, then what's the check and balance on the administration for doing things illegally? How do we stop them? How do we get rulings against the administration for violating the law if the courts aren't shut down? That's why one of the reasons I think that he's going to not want the Republicans to deal, and he's more than happy to have the government be shut down so that he can say, okay, well, there's no challenges to our authority because the courts are now not funded. So,
yeah, the judges seem to be the only ones that are holding Trump's feet to the fire. But then the question is he going to obey them? You know, or better yet, will ICE obey their orders as well? That's the other question. You know, if the judge tells ICE you can't use tear gas and pepper bullets and whatnot, you know, and you can't be doing this stuff to the peaceful protesters, where do you go from there? You know, I mean, that's the question. I mean, I'm really impressed with how Portland has been handling it. He's just making them look like a bunch of fucking idiots. Kristi Noem has to be like the laughing stock, you know, standing up there on the roof going, oh, look at all those horrible protesters. And it's like, you know, they're all wearing inflatable costumes. You can't.
Inflatable costumes, furry outfits, you know, nothing that are, you know, they used to call us, you know, they used to call us people who were like, what, you know, snowflakes and were limp-wristed or any other, you know, feminizing type of things about, you know, oh, liberals, you can't trust them. And then all of us now, it's just like, oh, they're big and scary and they're going to come after you and they're going to, you know, burn down our whole cities in their furry costumes and inflatable frog outfits or whatever. Like, it's absurd. And you said something about, you know, whether or not the ICE or the administration as a whole would go with the rulings of the court. We all know that they won't. because the court ruled 9-0. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that they have to allow people ample time to be able to file writs of habeas corpus so that they can have due process. And with the 30-plus folks in Norfolk, Virginia, they didn't give them any time. They detained, deported, and banned them faster than you can sneeze. So, you know, clearly they're not going to follow they're not going to follow what the courts say, and who's going to enforce it? Is the court's going to enforce it? I mean, what he said, the U.S. Marshals, Pam Bondi's in control of them, and then if everything's defunded, then that's even less money that's available to be used to go after somebody that they're not going to be able to go after anyway. So,
well, it seems like Chicago has sort of taken on my suggestion, which is refuse ICE all services, basically. You know, refuse to serve them at stores, refuse to serve them at restaurants, refuse to serve them at gas stations, you know, make their operations as difficult as humanly possible, you know, dox them whenever you get the chance, you know, make sure that they're, you know, that they know that a day will come when they will all be put before a judge and prosecuted for crimes. You know, they overstepped the line on so many things. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw that video that Texas Paul had on Sunday, the lady that was basically in front of the ICE vehicle, and the guy basically in the unmarked vehicle went and hit her car, and then afterwards, to cover up what they'd fucked up already, they went and they stopped the car. Then three guys who stormed the car physically assaulted her by pulling her out of the car, as well as putting her on the ground and putting cuffs on her, all while two other guys were standing there with their weapons drawn and the whole bit. And then they went and they kidnapped her. And like,
was that the journalist?
No, not the journalist. This was just a
else.
regular lady that had a car in front of them, and they were in a hurry to do whatever and realized that they'd struck the car and didn't want to have to answer for it. And so they decided, oh, well, let's just take her in and say that she was interfering with the operation of ICE. And, you know, she did none of that. They basically, you know, they did a hit and run and then realized, oh, we're going to get caught with hit and run. Let's it's easier to threaten this lady and put the fear of whatever. But the thing was is it was all caught on video, and that's the thing, right?
Right.
You know, I mean it's really bad, you know. I mean, I'm convinced that somebody is going to be shot and killed on camera by ICE within the next week or two.
I would not be surprised about
the violence is escalating to the point where, you know, they're like, oh, and they're all adrenaline junkies. They all got their whatever, they all look like they're ready to storm Fallujah, and they all have this hurt in their eyes, like, geez, I just want to fucking hit them. I just want to kill them all, and you know, and it's like, what do you do with these people? They are irredeemable, you know.
Nope.
They are
not one bit.
You know, and I mean, you call them Nazi fascists, racist bigots, and they're like, yeah, that's what we are. We're going to reclaim the homeland for the white race and the white race only, you know. And I mean, this is who we're dealing with. You know, this is the Hitler playbook played out all over again, you know. I mean, they're already like going out. The ones that really get me the most are the black ICE officers that are doing this stuff, and they know better.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen the treatment, the racist treatment that happens, and now here they are going and doing the same thing to people who've done nothing to them, absolutely nothing to them, you know. So if anything, you know, I'm just disgusted by it, because that basically tells me that your soul is for sale, you know. they are going out there and doing this stuff. And, and as Politics Girl said, you dox them, identify them, make it known to their families that they are doing this stuff and that they have no, they have no welcome at Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything. You have basically relegated yourself to the, out in the world all alone because of the awful things that you've done,
Well, even Joe Rogan was sitting there talking about how nobody who is a good person could possibly support what's going on with what ICE is doing. And of course, we tried to warn them. We tried to tell the people, in the manosphere or whatever, the people who blindly voted for Trump thinking that, oh, he's just going to go after the worst of the worst. And we're like, no, he's not. He's going to do terrible things. And you just don't want to listen to us because you think we're lying to y'all. But they're now starting to hear, or at least he is now starting to see that, the actions of ICE are absolutely deplorable. And, I've said in the last video, standing up to ICE is patriotic. I shared that video, a clip of the video, and people are like, well, if you're against ICE, you're against America, and you're a traitor to this country, you're not a patriot. And I had to respond. I was like, no, I'm against ICE because they're proven they're not limiting themselves to the people who are here in violation of our laws.
And the thing is that they're not professional, and as a result, this is why I'm thinking that somebody's going to get shot and killed on camera. Because that's the thing. They're not held to professional standards. There are no professional standards. If anything, they would have to produce a warrant. They would have to give a reason for detaining people. They would have to answer to the law as well as the judges. And that's the thing. None of that is fucking happening right now. Or if it is happening, it's happening behind closed doors where nobody can judge whether or not these people are being given a fair shake, And that's the thing. Everything is hidden. Everything is ridiculous. I mean, Stephen Miller is just a raging asshole, who, I don't know what the hell to say about him. He is the worst of the worst. I thought Trump was bad, but he's even worse than him, and he has so much hatred in his heart. And then he goes and finds another woman who is just as racist and bigoted as himself, and that just speaks volumes of how far the U.S. has devolved, because this is not normal,
Right. Well, I mean, but the only thing that was great about the other day was when he basically was on the news and he admitted that he believed that the administration has plenary power, and then he just, pulled a Mitch McConnell and just froze and didn't say anything because he realized he done messed up and actually said the quiet part out loud. So
exactly, and that's just it. He just revealed the whole plot, and that's the whole thing, though. Now, Trump basically openly claims his crimes.
Yep.
And thinks that, oh, if I admit to my crimes, you can't charge me with them. And it's like, what are you going to do with this?
Well, the Supreme Court basically gave him carte blanche because even though they said that, all of his actions are pretty much presumed to be legal or whatever without question, and then even if you have a question, it's there. He's presumed to have followed his authority or not. But even if he does something that's not within the scope of his office, how are you gonna get him on a crime if you can't subpoena the communications because they ruled all of the communications are privileged? That's the one thing that I've heard that I have not heard the media talk about as much as they need to about that ruling. It's not the fact that they said that most things are considered to be legal or whatever while leaving the door open for the potential. That nobody really talks about the fact that they made all executive branch communications privileged and as such not subpoenaable, which allows them to get away with any crime they want to, because if you can't subpoena the documents, you can't subpoena the communications, then how are you going to prove a crime? So
well, they learned from the first term that don't leave a paper trail, and that's the thing. And the same thing, he's learned that he only wants absolute sycophants who who are on the same page as him and who are willing to do the most extreme things. basically gone out and demanded a loyalty pledge, and the same thing, like Hegseth. From what I understand, he's giving everybody lie detector tests as well as having AI look for micro expressions that could give away people. I mean, this shit's gotten real bad real fast, and there isn't anything that is beyond thought as to how criminal as well as cruel they can possibly be. I mean, Anthony Davis had Tia Levings on yesterday, and she revealed everything. She was like, these guys, these evangelicals believe that, women are supposed to stay at home. They're supposed to serve their husband. It's not rape if your husband does it to you, and, I mean, she said, I had 9 pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
I have 5 children, of which one died in delivery, and only 4 survived.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so she was just basically, she was supposed to be barefoot and pregnant the whole time and do all this stuff, and and I mean, she ended up escaping her husband, and but the stories that she told was that these guys are they believe that men should control everything, that women don't have any rights, that this whole thing is all about power, and and the thing that she also revealed is that they know Trump is a piece of shit, but they don't care, because guess what? He's bringing these people into positions of power, and that's everything that they want. They want to be able to tell everybody what to do and how to do it. And if that means that women lose all their rights and whatnot and just basically become broodmares for, these assholes, that's they're going to be their lot in life. And
It's
and
like that Quiverful
she
movement,
said,
like the Duggars or whatever. That's like what, 18
yeah,
kids or
exactly.
whatever. And then you had Andrea Yates, who murdered her kids. She was found not guilty for reasons of insanity. But still, I mean, that her husband was basically forcing her to not take the medications that she needed, and instead to continue to be a breeding
broodmare,
stock,
yeah, I
a
know.
broodmare for his pleasure, and she went full on crazy and murdered the kids, and
Yeah.
everybody wanted to blame her for it. And I mean, sure, I mean, there's clear, I mean, clearly she was insane, so therefore she wasn't legally held responsible, but you still have to get locked up in in the other
Yeah.
means if that happens. But still, the responsibility should have been on the husband for basically raping her all those years, and using religion to make her believe that, oh, it's okay for you just need to do this to me. I mean, spousal rape wasn't made completely illegal until the 70s. Like, in the majority of the existence of this country, it was not considered a crime to rape your spouse. If you're the husband, you had all rights to do whatever it is you wanted to, and that's the end of it.
Well, the story that Tia told yesterday was that on her wedding night, she was a complete virgin, and her new husband basically raped her 3 times on their wedding night. And that she didn't find out that what he had done to her, because that's the thing, they leave them clueless. They don't teach sex education on the difference between right and wrong behavior and loving behavior, and as a result, she basically was abused, and she only found out when she went to a doctor a week later that she had been physically raped, because the doctor said, this is not normal, problems from loving sexual consensual behavior. What you have here is all the evidence of rape, and she didn't even realize it, and that's the thing. And and as they said, within their own little cult knit of religion, that they are told, oh, you don't go to the police, you never take it to the authorities, you talk to counselors within the church and pastors and everything else, and we handle everything in-house and whatnot. And and the thing is that the three within the Supreme Court, Gorsuch, Barrett, as well as Kavanaugh, are all from that same lineage of the religious ones, and that's the other thing. They were hand-selected within this evangelical group as to, following the same playbook, which is to basically take rights away from everyone and to subject their own ideology and of moral authority over everyone, and that's the thing. There's a reason that they lied when they said, "Oh, Roe is precedent. We won't possibly touch it." And then the minute they were all in there and they had the majority, of course they went and they turned around and tore it all up. But this is the thing. She revealed that this was the plot all along. These people have been running the long con for, this has been in works for 40 to 50 years. This is all about religious people who want to rule your life and want to set the rules and be in power. And they think that the white Christo-nationalist country is what America is, and they want to force that reality upon everyone else.
Right.
And that's why voting is so bloody important, because everybody thought, oh, no, it'll never come down to this. And it's like, yeah, just because you can't imagine it happening doesn't mean it isn't going to happen. It's gotten to as bad as it is because what is that? The paradox of tolerance.
Right.
Which is that if you excuse something, it only encourages them to do even worse the next time. And that's the thing. Because they say, oh, well, tolerance is a virtue. No, it isn't. If you don't call things out as being bad, as being wrong, and you don't punish these people right then and there and say, this is the line in the sand, you do not cross it, otherwise we're going to put your ass in jail and you will sit and rot the rest of your life.
Well, the best explanation I heard about why it's not a paradox, why being intolerant of the intolerant is not a paradox, is because there should be a social construct that basically says you need to be tolerant of the people, and if you break the social contract, you're not protected by its rules. So that's why it stops being a paradox if you view the idea of tolerance as a social construct and not as an end-all be-all, because yeah, we should be tolerant of people for who they are, but not what they choose to be. I guess that would be the best way to put it. If you're choosing to be a bigot, we are not going to be tolerant of you.
But here's the thing, like the Democrats have left things and said, oh, we'll just resume back to normal order. And it's like, no, you cannot go back.
Right.
You have to reform from this point forward. You have to make the laws concrete. You have to set the rules out now so that way it can never, ever happen again. Either you are for a constitutional democracy or you aren't. It's one or the other. And this pitter-patter and try to play nice and do the patty cake thing with these fucking Republicans is absurd. Because guess what? They don't. If they've entertained the idea of cruelty and thought, oh, I'll just do, we'll say that we won't do it, but in private, of course we will. And that's what it basically comes down to. You cannot trust them.
Nope.
They've proven themselves over and over again that they cannot be trusted. And I mean, this is the thing, like the farmers went and voted for Trump, and he said, oh, I'm going to impose tariffs on China. And of course they knew that meant that their soybean crops were going to be crap. that they were going to lose everything. And then on top of that, to add insult to injury, Trump goes and gives $20 billion to Argentina, and they go and they drop their tariffs on soybeans to China as well. So now they're getting a profit out of it on top of the $20 billion that Trump gave them, and all their soybeans are going to be used by China. And I mean,
farmers.
yeah, at the expense of our farmers. And what's going to happen? I mean, is he going to bail them out? I'll bet you he's not going to bail out the small farmers. He's going to bail out the big commercial firms, but he is not going, because the commercial ones can take the hit. But on top of that, they will do a payback to him, in some way, form or another, a bribe to say, oh, and here's your cut,
Right.
And I mean, this is the thing. The corruption has gotten to the point where everything is corrupt. There is no honest brokers whatsoever within the government right now, with a Republican behind their name, and and then the other thing is Tia was saying they don't believe in health care.
Right.
If anything, they want to take health care away from everyone.
Right, survival of the fittest. I guess they say if you can't survive, then we don't need you. That's their. They will sit here and tell us that they're blue in the face about how Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist or whatever, and how terrible of a person he was, and that's why we shouldn't follow him. Meanwhile, RFK Jr. is a eugenicist, and people like him are eugenicists because they don't give a crap if people die. They think that it's just nature doing nature's work. And so they're not going to do anything to prevent they don't want to do anything to prevent deaths. And we saw that during the first Trump administration, during COVID, how they allowed needless deaths. Hundreds of thousands of needless deaths, if not millions, took place because of how Donald Trump handled this. And somebody in the chat, Jan Morgan, had brought up Barron Trump potentially shorting Bitcoin, which I guess is something else.
Yeah, he did it 30. He did it 30 minutes before Trump announced the 100% tariffs on China.
Right, and he was already worth about $150 million, which is actually worth more than his mom. I don't know how they consider worth. I guess if they have a prenup or whatever, but worth more than his mom at this point. Worth more.
Well, it was crypto. It was crypto.
Right. So, but it was $150 million beforehand, and then they shorted, and I think he made about 80 million more or whatever, or actually now it's being stated as between 160 and 200 million in profits. And they're, at least according to the Hindustan Times, at least what I'm reading, is that the trader remained under wraps, and this is 2 hours ago. They're speculating that it could very well be Barron Trump, but still, even then, if it's not him, if it's somebody else in the administration, that should be viewed as just as criminal as anybody else taking insider information and making stock decisions on it. But unfortunately, nobody in the administration.
Well, you know what's going to happen. They're going to take their
punished for it.
You know what's going to happen though. What did the Nazis do? Where was one of the countries that the Nazis fled to?
Argentina.
Yeah. Do you think it's a coincidence that he gave him a $20 billion bailout?
No. There's no coincidence.
Because I'll bet you that Qatari plane is going to go directly there, or if it doesn't end up in Saudi Arabia or someplace like that,
Right.
I mean, they're going to take their money and their riches and go hide in another country when all is said and done. Now, he's not going to stick around, and if anything, he's going to steal as many U.S. secrets and patents as possible when he goes out the door. You think what he did last time was ridiculous? I think it's going to be 10 times worse.
Of course, that assumes that he goes out the door. Like, again, during all of my time where I've been involved in politics, every time somebody has said that some president is going to allow the next set of elections, I've just been like, don't be stupid, don't be ridiculous. Bush may be bad, but I don't think Bush is that bad. I disagree with him a lot, but I don't think he's going to stop elections. Obama, y'all think Obama is bad. To the conservatives thought Obama was bad, that he wasn't going to allow elections. Lather, rinse, repeat. I frankly think that they don't. If we still have a democracy that's intact, a democratic republic that's intact by 2028, I'll be shocked. frankly, because at this point he's working very hard to destabilize everything, and then, you know, martial law and whatever else will be used to maintain his power, and or trying, you know, shenanigans of, oh, well, Vance will run for president and I'll be the vice president, and according to the Supreme Court, the states have no authority to keep people off the ballot. So if the states can't keep people off the ballot, it's up to Congress to determine whether or not the Electoral College votes are validly submitted or not. They're not going to be, states aren't going to be able to remove that from the ballot, and then you would then have Congress who would have to then challenge it, and then the Republicans in Congress don't have a spine, and as such, that's the way he gets back into office, by playing shenanigans with the wording of the Constitution and the prohibitions of running for a third term if he's on the ticket as the VP. There are people who don't agree with me, but I'm just saying we would have to, in order, if you don't agree with that's a possibility, you have to then
But
trust
that's the thing, you don't put anything past Trump.
Right, you don't put anything past him, and you don't put anything past the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will continue to say, oh, well, it's in the hands of Congress, and then you don't trust the Republicans in Congress because they don't give a shit about the Constitution. They're not going to push back against Herr Fuhrer, and if that happens, we're done. I mean, we're flat out absolutely done at that point, because they will have broken the system, and we won't have a working judicial branch anymore. So we won't have three branches of government anymore. We'll just have one main one with the plenary power, as Miller said, and the other people are just kind of figureheads, you know, playing a part just to do a little soft shoe dance for Trump and his ilk. So.
Yeah, but the thing is that everything that Trump has ever achieved has been by cheating and stealing and lying and whatnot. I mean, he isn't a successful businessman. He's basically a successful grifter. Yep. He has never done anything that has actually produced anything of any significant worth. He's basically put his name to things that other people build or have constructed. You know, I mean, his whole life has been, a lie, built upon more lies. I mean, that's the thing that's amazing, is the fact that he's able to keep all of his lies straight and that he's able to do things the way he does. The other thing is that Bernie makes all the same arguments, and then Trump basically goes around and says, oh, I'm going to steal all of Bernie's arguments and then put it out there. But the difference is that Bernie offers solutions. Trump basically gets them all riled up and angry, and they go, yep, see, he knows all the problems. He knows the system is broken, and what do you end up with? He gets them all riled up, and they go, oh, I'm going to vote for him. And it's like, he's a fucking asshole. He isn't going to fix your problems. He isn't going to make your life better. He's going to make your life worse. You're the sucker. You just don't realize it. You fell for it. Bernie would actually do something. Trump has done nothing but line his own pockets the whole fucking time. And these people are like, yeah, but he's one of us. And it's like, no, he isn't. He's not one of anything of you.
Nope.
You guys can't.
Every time somebody calls him a populist, I just have to yell at them, because he's not a populist. He's a faux populist. He pretends to be a populist to fool the people into thinking that, he's on their side, when in reality, he's absolutely not.
But that's just it. I mean, he's just doing horrible things. I mean, the other thing that he has been doing is he's been congregating amongst the billionaires, and you know what he's doing? He's sending these deportees on these billionaires' private jets out of the country.
Yep.
And he's sending them to gulags and prisons and whatnot, so that way they can be tortured just like they were in Sikot in El Salvador. And I mean, the billionaires are not good people. They are not decent. And this is the whole thing. Betsy DeVos is within the same cult as what Tia Leving said that she was part of. they believe in the same thing. Women don't have rights. So, women are supposed to be subject to this and that and the other thing, and men are in control, and men rule the world, and you have to do everything that whatever they say. And I mean, what did she do? She had no educational background in education. What did she do? She ended up destroying most of the education department. And now Linda McMahon has gone and taken the whole fucking thing apart, including what was the latest thing? He fired the last 1,100 people within the education department that were in charge of special needs and children, developmental with disabilities.
Yep. It
Within
belongs
the
in the
department.
states. It belongs in the states. No, it doesn't belong in the states, because the states have proven themselves to be, at least several states have proven themselves to be untrustworthy when it comes to it. This is why you need the federal government to step in and do something when the states. Look, I had a conversation with Louisiana's former governor, I apologize, former Governor John Bel Edwards. You're not Edwin Edwards. Former governor, the previous governor, John Bel Edwards. I was at an event on Friday night for the Jefferson Parish Democratic Executive Committee. He happened to be giving the keynote speech, and I had the opportunity to have a small conversation with him or whatever, and we were just talking about just that in general, he brought up the Voting Rights Act and how they just want to decimate it, and they're continue to push to decimate the Voting Rights Act. Unfortunately, he didn't make any grand announcements on Friday, and then he just recently announced that he's not running for the Senate seat, which makes me think he wants to run back for the governorship. But the thing is that, I told him my analogy. I was like, they believe that you don't need the Voting Rights Act, or they'll claim that you don't need the Voting Rights Act, or they make the argument because, well, we haven't had any bad decisions come through since the passage of the Voting Rights Act. I'm like, well, that's because you needed pre-clearance to do the bad things, and they stopped the pre-clearance. And every time everything needed pre-clearance, it was stopped. And the same thing, the argument is like, oh, well, the Mississippi River hasn't flooded New Orleans since we built the levees, so therefore we don't need the levees anymore. No, it's the levees protecting New Orleans from the floodwaters from the river, especially when it gets super high. It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. The way that they think, but and I told him, look, if you do want to make an announcement, you want to bring up the Voting Rights Act, and you want to use my levy analogy, please feel free to do so, because I think it's a good analogy. And he kind of chuckled and laughed or whatever. So it was an interesting night.
But they believe everything is God's will, and and whatever. I mean, this is the thing. For example, Mike Johnson said, "Oh, the Bible tells me what to do, and God also tells me what to do." And it's
right.
Like, are you fucking shitting me? You're a constitutional fucking lawyer, and you don't know the difference between separation of church and state, and you are saying these things out loud?
Right.
Because this was the other thing that Tia Levings was saying, is that Mike Johnson is the worst, because he is the one that they wanted in power. The backroom dealings and the shenanigans to get him into where he's done what he's done. And I mean, he's been the least productive House person ever, and I mean, they went on holiday for, what was it, 3 weeks, and now they're off on holiday for another week while
right.
This Epstein, thing still is in limbo, because, he doesn't want to bring it up, and Trump will keep the government closed down till forever, and he will continue to fire all workers within all departments of the government, and the whole country is going to come to a collapse at the rate he's going, because there won't be anybody left. The only people that'll be left after it's all said and done is the military and the police, and that's
right.
it. Because the hospitals all be shut down because there's no fucking money anymore. I mean, and then the next thing to collapse will be the Social Security service, which will mean that all, the checks won't go out and everything. And then, and I mean, what's going to end up happening? He's counting that on that, the military will, interact, stop a revolt. And that's the thing. That's what's so worrying about it. Now, the question will be is,
I mean,
what
I've said
percentage of the
repeatedly,
military will obey an unlawful order? And that's the thing. How many of the commandants that are in charge will tell the soldiers, you have to do what I tell you, and this is a lawful order? So I mean, that's the question. It'll be how many of these sycophants are within the ranks that can push through the agenda that he is so gung-ho to enact, which is not even his agenda. It's the evangelical right agenda, which is, we want a white Christo-fascist nation, where, everything is ruled by the little head rather than the big head, and I mean, I don't know how to put it any other way.
right.
I mean, the building blocks are all there, and the thing is that this has been a 40-year plan that's been enacted. It's I don't even know what to call it anymore, unless you've got words for it that I don't.
I have the best words. Nobody has better words. I was busy looking. I'm trying to figure what year this happened. I mean, remember in Egypt in 2013 when the government was just too much, and the Egyptian military was like, nope, we're stopping this. We're putting an end to it. We're kicking you out, and we're going to have, I guess, new elections.
The
or whatever.
Muslim Brotherhood, yeah.
The Muslim Brotherhood came up, but still, the military did step up and do and deal with the tyrant that was in charge at the time. I mean, some people might argue better the devil you know than the devil you don't. But still, I mean, since Trump took office the first time, I was basically like, look, hey, military, you need to remember that this thing is something that can be done if you're going to get, somebody's in charge who's going to be pure evil. And I've repeated since then as well the whole thing that, they have a constitutional duty. They swore an oath to the Constitution where if they get an illegal order, it's not just their responsibility, it's their duty to not follow that order, and they are.
Yeah, but
here's
the other connection. Here's the other connection. Hegseth is part of that whole evangelical church movement as well.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
He has that pastor who is in the news lately saying, "Oh, women don't know their place, and they should be at home barefoot and pregnant and under the rule and of the man of the house, and that's it."
Right.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, look at his history. He's gone and married and made broodmares out of 3 women. And I mean, he's completely unfaithful. I mean, his history is there. He's another Donald Trump. He's failed upwards.
Yep.
Everything that he's ever attempted, he's failed at, and he's failed upwards. I mean, the other one that I got a kick out of was that Minnesota lady that was killed, Cortman, I think, or whatever it is.
The speaker, the legislator, the speaker.
You realize that when he went to Harvard and he did his thesis, it was on DEI, and guess who he interviewed? It was her.
Mm-hmm.
He based it on her.
Mm.
And then his latest little stunt is, I'm sending my Harvard diploma back to Harvard with return to sender because he doesn't believe in DEI anymore.
Well,
And yet that's where he got his accreditation for, was based on the thesis that he did, which was that DEI is necessary and good.
No, I mean, bullshitters will bullshit. He either bullshitted then when he thought, or he's bullshitting now that he's going against what he wrote. But he's going to bullshit regardless of it, right?
Yeah, and like I said, this is what's going on. There's a much more evil body behind all this stuff, and it's also empowered by the oligarchs because these people think the same thing. I'm in power. They believe in, what is it? I forget what it's called. But within the church doctrine that wealth is because I'm more worthy or whatever, and that God makes me wealthy because of, because I'm worthy of it, and that's the thing. They believe in this shit. and they believe they have egos that cannot be broken. And that's the thing. They have used money to empower themselves and to empower others who basically who are playing the game and who have put the Supreme Court together to corrupt everything, to bring society down to nothing. Because in the end, what's going to happen? If society crumbles, the billionaires will be fine.
Right. Well,
they don't
care. I think what you're referring to is the prosperity gospel, which basically means that if you believe in God and you become prosperous, it's because God has enabled it to. Of course, that ignores Acts 4 and 5, which basically tells people that if they sell their property and they don't give all of the proceeds and redistribute it to the poor, then they're going to die, because that's what happened to the couple that did that in Acts 4 and 5, is that they were literally told, look, did you sell everything? And they said yes. They lied about it, and they dropped dead immediately. So the punishment for not redistributing your wealth to the poor is death. But these prosperity gospel folks apparently just ignore those things, just like they do everything else, as we heard from John Vogelsang. Buy his book. His link is in the show description on YouTube.
I know.
That's
the thing. Like, the Catholic Church is all about bureaucracy now. That's the thing. And you see it, because when you do get a good pope in, what ends up happening? Oh, the bishop of whatever is in conflict because he believes that, we need to have a sterner hand, and we have to go back to the pull yourself up by your bootstraps
right
ideology, and we have to return to the spare the rod, spoil the child methodology. This is the whole thing. It's all about cruelty and shortcuts. That's the thing. We live in an age now where we know we have psychology and things that are there. We understand how humans function and how they thrive and whatnot. And we have basically gone and turned a blind eye to it. And the conservatives, they haven't evolved. They haven't seen. And they're angry that, you're taking away our privilege of beating some sense into our kids. And it's like, you're not beating sense into your kids. You're beating hatred into your kids. You're teaching them that, being abusive is a strength.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's psychological torture. It's brainwashing. It's, and that's the thing. That's what they're so angry about. Oh my God, you mean I can't beat the shit out of my kids when I get drunk and angry, and when they ask me questions and I don't want to answer, and I just say, you want a beating? You want to get the belt? You want to get, and this is just it.
Those are the same people that say that bullying is a rite of passage, because, either they got bullied and want to do it the same and want to be able to revisit it on other people, or they were the bullies and want to excuse their bad behavior. So they think that, somehow it builds moral character for being abused, and, they can go fuck themselves, because that's ridiculous.
Well, that's why I say Republicans are irredeemable, because, unless they come to the conclusion that what they're doing isn't working, and turn over a new leaf and lead a responsible life and embrace science as well as psychology of today, where decency is decency. You don't allow bad things to happen, because if you do, and that's the other problem. The police is basically the same thing. They want to beat people up. They want to assault people. They want to penalize people. They want to have power over people.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's all a thing for them, because so many of them, they are psychopaths. They basically go out there and they're not serving and protecting. They're doing the total opposite of it.
Right.
What gets me is that in Chicago, those fucking state troopers came in with their batons and everything, and like all they were doing was standing there. Oh, you have to move back. And it's like, why? What threat were they doing? They weren't doing anything to the ICE facility. They weren't blocking the way. They weren't doing anything wrong. And they went and they tried to basically have a riot there, And that's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, aren't state troopers only relegated to highways?
I mean, technically,
You know?
I mean, I guess in New Orleans, we have seen state troopers be used. They created this thing called Troop NOLA, and they put the state police into, I guess, a part in New Orleans to help supplement the police power during Mardi Gras or whatever, which, you know, that happens during Mardi Gras.
Yeah, but that has to be upon
right.
an invitation of the governor, and that's the thing. I'm willing to bet that the Illinois governor didn't authorize that. So obviously Trump or Stephen Miller called them up and said, go there and crack some heads.
We're talking about state police, or you're talking about federal police?
The state police.
Well, state police would be controlled
That's what
by the
happened
governor.
in Chicago. Those guys in the white police uniforms, or the gray or whatever, with the batons, those were state troopers.
Right, but the governor should be in charge of the state police, not the feds.
Well, that's my question. Why were they there? Who put in the call, or who put in the order, or who threatened their funding?
Even if the governor put him there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be acting right, because there's a history of police officers not acting right as well, which is why, you know, people say all cops are bastards. So there you go.
Well, you know, like I said, it's I'm astonished. You know, at times I'm left without words, because the cruelty just keeps increasing, and you know, the violence it just keeps increasing. You know, and people are going to die unnecessarily, all so that way these racist bigots can feel better about themselves, because someone told them that they were superior, and you know, for some reason or another in life, they haven't been able to make a good go of it. And so what's the easiest thing to do? Scapegoat other people for failures of your own character and your own abilities, and your lack of schooling, or the whatever. And that's the thing, you know, like all of it is from Republican policies where, let's take away food SNAP benefits. Let's take away this. Let's take away free school lunches. Let's take away, you know, everything that is proven to help facilitate a human being to succeed and to become better and more self-sufficient in life, as well as a major contributor to society. The Republicans have all fucking shot down.
Right.
And that's the thing. They don't do anything good. They make billionaires richer, but that's the extent of it. And they basically say, "Oh, it's your lot in life is because of other people who have stolen your opportunity." And it's like, no, they didn't. Most of the immigrants are out there doing the jobs that you refuse to do.
Right, exactly. Let's see. According to this one article, the Office of Illinois Governor Pritzker says the state officers are there to keep protesters safe from overzealous feds while protecting the protesters' First Amendment rights. But some demonstrators are saying that the troopers are now effectively shielding ICE, shielding the outpost in the suburban Broadview area. Previously, disruptors have blocked access to the ICE facility, prompting federal authorities to use crowd control methods like tear gas to disperse mobs. Over the weekend, the Illinois State Police has been moving crowds back with wooden batons, herding them behind concrete barriers that are meant to keep the streets clear. Protesters like Renell Conine told them that they are confused by the disconnect between Pritzker's public comments about the Trump administration and the use of state police to protect ICE. Pritzker needs to come down and see the way the citizens are being treated and the way that our right to protest is being oppressed and challenged. Spokesperson for Pritzker said state authorities are not hiding behind masks in Broadview, in contrast with federal agents. They show their faces, they have proper identification, and they are accountable to the people of Illinois. Illinois State Police are working with the Cook County Sheriff's Office in Broadview police outside the ICE facility and have arrested some of the protesters. Trump administration says demonstrators have been put federal authorities in jeopardy.
But then
blah, blah, blah.
Okay, but here's the thing: they didn't announce that. They just basically said, "Move back, move back."
Right.
I'm gonna push and shove you and push you and shove you and use my baton and force you back. They didn't say, "Oh, this is from Pritzker" or anything else. They didn't come out with an announcement. They didn't say that this is to protect you or anything else. And that's the whole thing.
Right.
And I think that was deliberately done by the state police. And that's the thing. If not, it's a major fuck up on Pritzker's plate. Because, you know, if it was meant as a protective measure for the protesters, then he majorly fucked that up, because he should have been there, right there in front, and said, these people are here to protect you from against the ICE facility people, the federalized ones. And he should have been down there and done that, you know. But my bet is that he wouldn't go down there, because he probably thought, you know what, they'll take me into custody and then put me on a plane and probably send me to another country and put me in a gulag.
Well,
you know,
you can't put anything past the Trump administration at this point. So,
but like I said, I mean, this is the thing. I'm at a loss of words to how every day things just keep getting worse, and the unimaginable has become a reality down there. Right. You know, and that's the question, because he wants to bring in the military and start roaming the streets in LA and other big cities, you know, democratic cities, you know. I mean, he seems to think that he's going to enforce the martial law on everybody, you know, and whatnot. And he seems to think that he's going to find enough people that are going to go out there and crack skulls and whatnot against peaceful protesters, you know, even the ones in the inflatable costumes, you know. And that's a big worry of mine.
I almost forgot about this too, just to kind of change the thought or whatever, but I do think we also need to, just for some reason I was just scrolling through my Facebook stuff, I do think that we need to have Speaker Johnson drug tested in the House, simply because of the fact that with this whole Turning Point, you know, alternative halftime show that they've announced, he believes that Lee Greenwood would have been a better choice than Bad Bunny. And if anybody thinks that Lee Greenwood is going to draw more fans, more people watching it than Bad Bunny, he definitely needs a drug test. Or somebody needs to check his phone to make sure he's actually looking at the right websites, because it's clearly not his son doing it. Anyway, just needed to get that out there.
Well, you heard about that. What was it? The guy that did the porn tech software. Apparently, he was charged with possession of child pornography.
Right. So,
I mean, this
I'm
is
not
the thing.
surprised, because every Republican accusation, every conservative accusation turns out to be an admission. So,
you know, and that's just it. You know, I mean, like I said, these people, you know, and Hillary called them deplorables.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, I'm so upset."
Right, and she didn't even call all of them
deplorable.
She didn't even call all of them deplorable. She only called half of them deplorable. So if they're getting upset, then they're admitting that they're those half that they're deplorable, instead of saying, "Well, I'm the other half, so she's not talking about me." So, as Andrew Gillum said in Florida, hit dogs holler. Anyway, I'm probably going to end the show soon. Any final words before I let you go?
I don't know. Keep your head down and keep your wits about you, because I'll tell you, they're coming for everybody that isn't paying attention. And the other thing is that I don't know. The surveillance stuff is getting worrying, because apparently now they are going around in neighborhoods and they are trying to get a hold of all your cell phones and whatnot. So What can I say? Like, I said it in the chats in the morning when the Stephanie Miller show. I've said, you know what? If you're going to go out there with your phone, make sure the SIM card isn't inserted. Make sure that your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth are turned off, because those are all methods by which they can put the graphite stuff on. But the other thing is that they're using the Stingray technology now, and they can put them in unmarked vans as well as pickup trucks to go out there and scoop up all your your phone numbers and whatnot, as well as to use it for location data, as well as to look at all your anything that you're doing online. So I don't know. I really don't know anymore. I mean, a VPN maybe your best defense if anything, because at any rate they will look at stuff that's been encrypted. Everything will be encrypted that they look at within your data. So that's the only other piece of advice I can give you. Otherwise, maybe not use your cell phone. I don't know. It's, which is ridiculous because you guys have basically lost everything. This freedom principle doesn't exist anymore based on the government that you currently elected and put into power. And
let freedom ring. Some exclusions apply. Only available for white people and Christians who are straight and cisgender.
Yeah. And that's just it. I wish I really wish I had something positive to say or, whatnot. I mean, but, you guys don't have the ability to turn the government over.
Nope.
And change things immediately. You have to wait.
Yeah.
You have to wait a 2-year period, 2-year long wait period, which they are taking advantage of to inflict as much damage and destruction as possible. Like I said, if the country completely crumbles, the billionaires will be fine. But the rest of you are all fucked.
Yep, pretty much. Well, anyway, thank you so much, Big Hope, for calling. I appreciate you as always, and we will probably, I guess, hear from you again.
Sorry I went on so long.
Don't worry about it. Look, I wanted to let you go on a little longer because I don't know how much of a time I'll have for phone on Wednesday because I do have a guest on Wednesday, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. But again, thank you for calling. Appreciate you so much as always, and everybody loves you, especially when you start imitating the Republicans. That always gives us a good chuckle.
Yeah, well, at least I'm good for something.
Well, you're good for more than one thing.
Take care of all your good selves out there and be democracy warriors, because that's what's going to save you all in the end. Okay.
Thank you so much, Big Hook. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right, we are going to shut down the phone lines at this point, just because I just have a few more things I want to cover before we do that. Somebody in the chat said something about in Portland, and the Antifa there's like supposedly gay Antifa frogs or whatever, said as a joke. I forget which person said it or whatever. But I was just wondering if those gay Antifa frogs were ribbit for your pleasure. Sorry. Anyway, so did want to show two pictures of the other night. First and foremost, here is me and my wife all dressed up at the Jefferson Parish Democratic Executive Committee thing. I didn't even know about this until I think Tuesday or Wednesday that we were going to this thing. I did get to meet Lauren Jewett, the one who I interviewed on Monday. She was there at the event, and she basically was like, she was like, I recognize that face from about here to here. So it was nice that she recognized me or whatever. But so I got to see some other people when I was a member of the Jefferson Parish Democratic Executive Committee back when I lived in Kenner. I was there for a little bit. I had to drop out once I moved to New Orleans, but it was a fun thing. Got to see some people I hadn't seen in forever. Saw a Republican friend of mine there who was there. I guess his law firm bought a table at it, so he was there. But again, got to meet Troy Carter, Congressman Carter from my district. Got to meet former Governor John Bell Edwards. So that was neat as well. So Tim Farrell goes, "You're smoking." I've already said at the beginning of the show when I think Jeff said that he was the most attractive person that he knew. I was like, I can't say that because I know my wife, and my wife is much hotter than I am. So, and here's the funny thing, like the last time I wore this suit was actually at my grandfather's funeral, and I was bigger at the time. I think I don't know if I was totally at my max weight, but I was up there. I was definitely at least 60 pounds heavier, if not the full 120. So this is why the suit doesn't fit as well as it maybe should, but, oh, wait, hold on. There we go. There is me and Governor John Bell Edwards, and of course my suit there. Just, you know, I should have opened it up a bit or whatever, but there's me in my somewhat loose-fitting suit. But there you go. Anyway, there's that. So I don't know what else got shown because I showed the other thing, but it was nothing bad. None of y'all saw anything bad or whatever, so there you go. Anyway, I know I can get it tailored, but again, if I get it tailored now, I'm going to need to get it tailored again once I lose, you know, the next 60, 120 pounds or whatever. I was just surprised the pants fit. I didn't even need a belt or whatever, that the pants fit fine. So I was happy about that. That was great. Because I think the last time I wore it, I had to wear the belt, but it was like down underneath my stomach because it couldn't bring it up to my actual waist. So I was just happy that the suit fit because I had no idea what I was going to wear if that suit didn't fit. But, you know, as old Donnie Boy says,
it is what it is.
Have AI fix your suit. Yes, send it into AI, unless you're saying Al, and maybe there's a guy Al who's a tailor. I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, thank you, Big Hook, again, for the great call, as always. We do have, if you remember, if you've listened to watched the show a while, I think Ken Good is the guy's name. Let me see if he actually if his guy sent a confirmation that it actually will be going on. Interview confirmation, Ken Good. So, yes, he will be calling in at 8:15 on Wednesday's show. But yeah, so he's going to call in and we're going to be discussing, it should be an interesting conversation. They've been asking for this for a while, and I did want to basically say, look, you know, he wants to discuss something to the effect of, you know, whether or not we are safer as a country or not, because of, whether there is credible evidence that the increase in deportations have lowered violent crime rates, how local law enforcement partnerships and federal immigration authorities are affecting communities, what risks and benefits policymakers should weigh as they debate the immigration enforcement and public safety. So we're going to have a grand old time with Mr. Good because we are going to be talking about all the ways that immigration is not making us safe and all the ways that there is no way for us to know the numbers coming across the border because of where the people are focusing their efforts. Now they've, I think, just moved even more people from the FBI to be part of ICE and basically be part of immigration enforcement. So that's going to be nothing but great, right? No. So we're going to have, you know, obviously we're going to disagree with Mr. Good on a various amount of issues. I think last time he was on, I think we talked about bail reform. And of course, there's the straw man about bail reform that basically says they're going to let guilty people dangerous people out of jail because they don't want to force poor people to have to pay bail. I'm like, no, the reason you have bail reform or eliminate cash bail altogether is not because you want to let guilty people free or you want to let violent people out free. It's like you don't want to allow violent people out just because they have the ability to pay you money to do so, which creates two systems of government. So, and I think we handled the comments in that discussion very well. So, but just to be forewarned, if you don't like me, if you don't like the shows where I debate conservatives, maybe Wednesday is not the show for you. Because actually today is an anniversary of 2 years ago. I had a conversation. I was talking about the Israeli-Hamas issues and the attack on 10/7, and our good friend Gibson Media had called in, and we were debating him, and then people were challenging me after that. It was like, I think the first time I've ever ended a show early because I was pissed off, and it was because people were claiming that I did things that I didn't do. Or claiming that I should have done things that I did do specifically, like when he said something about the conservative caller, whatchamacallit, Gibson Media, said something to the effect of how this certain thing was true, and I was like, I have no evidence to believe that that's true. Why would I believe that true? And then people were like, well, why didn't you question on him? I did. I told him I have no reason to believe it's true, but yet the people didn't want to listen to me. Anyway, just to let y'all know, just to give y'all a advanced notice that if you don't want to listen to me debate a conservative, Wednesday is not the show for you. At least at the beginning of Wednesday is not the show for you. So But again, that's one of the things I think that I do well, which is debate conservatives and show other people how they need to debate conservatives and make the arguments or engage with conservatives when they're making opinions that I don't agree with, so that other people can know how to deal with the points that they bring up. So, and again, if you're in the chat and you want me to bring up a point and want me to ask a question, I'll be happy to do so. Just, when I get to it, it's just a matter of, actually me getting to read it or whatever. But again, that's going to be at least the first part of Wednesday show, at least after 8:15, because I want to have time to get into everything, whatever. So anyway, thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate y'all as always. And we will be live on Nerdy Dan for maybe one of the last times. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm going to play a different game for a lot of it. We'll just kind of a play testing game or whatever, just to see how things go. And maybe push that video up to the Discord of the gamer of the gaming company that's creating this game to make it even better, and maybe get myself a little more acknowledgement or whatever as I'm trying to grow that channel as well. But anyway, if you don't come by tomorrow night for nerdydan.com, I will be back Wednesday 8 p.m. Central. Again, we'll talk to Ken Good for about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes or so, starting at 8:15, and then we'll talk about other issues as needed. So until then, thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all as always. And of course, again, support the show. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment on videos, share videos, especially the videos with the music. If you like the music, share those out. Interact with other people who make comments on the videos, because again, that helps the algorithm, and as we all know, Al Gore needs more rhythm. So until I see you next time, have a good one. Peace.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall, promised Mexico would fund that wall, praised dictators, said they're strong, had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong, had Biden done it, MAGA would flip, had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip, had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play, but Trump did it, so it must be okay. Go through crises, storms and more, called soldiers losers who died in war, hire his kids to run DC, if it was Hunter they'd scream treachery, had Biden done it, MAGA would flip, had Biden done it, the numbers would slip, had Biden done it, Fox News would say I vague, but Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever, signed you spending bills with glee, had Joe done that it'd be tyranny, had Biden done it, MAGA would flip, had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip, had Biden done it, they shout out today, but Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold, said Putin's word was good as gold, invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil, if Joe had done that, they'd all recoil, had Biden done it, MAGA would flip, had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip, had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay, but Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear, rules for Trump, but not for peers, what they call treason if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame, had Biden done it, MAGA would flip, had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip, had Biden done it, they'd shout no way, but Trump did it, so it must be okay.
pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten. Hung in a hallway where no door can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. An administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't be. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. A chaotic secret, an NDA sign, an illegal bribe. Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag, cause he was much shorter. It must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect. But they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights rolled back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still. Just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just stay on pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey MAGA fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.
Gather round, everyone, and I'll tell you a tale about an orange-faced buffoon who should be in a jail. When people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, to say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say